right, Miss Jessica, are you ready for this conversation?
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
I feel like I've been waiting for this conversation for a really long time.
I feel exactly the same way.
And yet now is probably the best time to have a conversation. There's like this, what do you call it? A bridge where people are like, there's these wants, this need, this desire. And then you're on the bridge. And I feel like you're over one bridge, probably about to approach another one, as we all are. But yeah, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about, obviously they heard your introduction and such, but just tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your journey thus far. I mean, you are one of the most resilient, dedicated people I know. I just see you in this ring, and we were talking, I'm sure we'll bring it up about the whole quitting thing and finding alignment and finding what works. And you're just so persistent, and even not this, I'm going to keep going. So yeah, just telling a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today.
Wow. And it's so funny. I was talking to you in a nutshell, just, condensed version of this. So my name is Jessica. I am, I'm going to be turning 40 this year, which is, I'm just going to start there, I guess, because it's like this really weird space that I'm in that I'm embracing the shit out of it. Like I am happier than I've ever been. I'm more confident than I've ever been, that I can even remember. And sometimes I go, I have no business to be this happy or this confident, but I am. It's crazy. I have 3 daughters that I just love. I have a almost 17-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 5.5-year-old. I get a lot of comments about raising girls. I get a lot of comments about raising teenage girls. And I love raising girls, and I adore raising teenagers. A lot of people give me double takes on that one, especially. I am in a partnership with my partner who is, it's not perfect. We love each other a lot. It is an incredibly supportive relationship that I'm very grateful for. I am being kind of to your point, trying stuff out all the time, going, I'm going to try this. I'm figuring this out. And he's like, if it makes you happy, I got your back. So that I'm incredibly grateful for. My 2 oldest daughters is from a marriage first marriage that I had when I was with their dad since a teenager. And, leaving that marriage was a hard decision, but it was definitely the best decision for myself and my girls. And I can, whether he would agree or not, I think for him as well. It wasn't the most healthy of relationships, but it was what it was. And I definitely learned a lot. I can look back now. I'm in this space where it's been a while, so I can really look back and at the lessons that it really provided me in my life. One thing I hear a lot of people talk about is, what would I tell my younger self and this and that? I don't like to get caught up in that, because sometimes I go, yeah, I'm a slow learner. And I've said this to you before, it takes me a long time to really learn the lessons. And I'm just kind of really digging into that personal development work over the past 3 to 4 years. But I'm grateful for those hard things that I've been through, because I feel like I don't know that I would change much. I would be kinder to people. That's probably it. But as far as my own path goes, I don't know that I would change anything, because I truly wouldn't be where I am today had it not been for those lessons, those harder things in my life. I have a full-time job at a full-time corporate job.
Are you there right now?
No, I'm not. I'm not on my lunch break doing this.
A woman on a mission.
That's right. What else do you do, right? You go I have lunch and I'm going to record a podcast. And that's just what's happening. I've been at this company for 18 years, and it's one of those companies that, incredible. They're a wonderful company. I love them. I love my employer a lot. It just does not fill my cup in the way I require at this point in my life anymore. It's one of these companies that people don't quit this job. what do you mean? Like, you want to quit? Like, it's just not that. But I have been working on I'll say a business because you've learned in the doing. It's that action that's bringing the clarity, and the more action I'm taking, the more crystal clear it is on my purpose and my mission. Do I get into that now too? So I'll just
no. I can hear the echo of me in the background, so I'm wondering if maybe I should mute you while I'm talking. Okay. What I was going to say is, when you were like the action and the doing, the clarity, whatever that was, I was like, yes, like that is, people don't want to take the action because of the fear of imperfection. And I'm like, guys, I don't know. Like, I tell people all the time, like, I need this blueprint. And I'm like, I will give you a blueprint. You're going to look at it and salivate for about 5 minutes and be like, yes, this is exactly what my brain needed. And then you're going to do step 1 and step 2 and go, this doesn't work for me. And I'm like, I know it doesn't. Right. So what feels good? What doesn't feel good? Talk about your mission, like what you're up to right now, because it's definitely not what you were up to a year ago or 2 years ago. And it kind of just unraveled from breadcrumbs and desires.
Totally. So, and I feel like I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've done like probably 3 different MLMs over the course of, my adulthood. And I'm not knocking them at all. Like, they're great products, great companies. I just always wanted more than what that could give me. But the most recent MLM I was in, I helped other people. And I'm using air quotes, but coached other people. And I knew that's what I wanted to do. I just was, I don't know if it was fear. It was definitely a self-worth issue. Not that I don't struggle with self-worth today. I certainly do, but it's a huge self-worth issue in that, like, who am I? That Brene Brown, that conundrum going like that in between who am I and too big for your britches. So it was like, I was really stuck there. So I'm like, I'm not a coach. Even though I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I totally was a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it took, working with you to be like, you are a coach. When you first told me that, I'll never forget it. And then the more I kept kind of chipping away at that, going, okay, well, I'll try this. I'm going to try this MLM. Okay. I like it, but it's not, I need to make it my own. I think that the structure was too hard for me. And I always thought I was such a conformist, but I'm not, like, at all. So I was really struggling with the rules of it. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to branch out, and I really liked the nutrition piece. And so I got nutrition coaching, and I started doing meal prep, which I still do, and I still really enjoy. But I knew I needed to go deeper because it wasn't about the food, which I think I instinctively always knew. And it just was like, oh yeah, food's going to fix everything. And working out, and I'm a personal trainer. So it was like all of these steps, and everyone's like, what do you get to it, woman? What the hell do you do? I'm getting there, I promise. But this is the path. It was this, and then, I spent a year training, like personal training and nutrition, talking to people. And I could never get as deep as I wanted to with those clients. I'm like, not enough. You're giving me surface level bullshit. And I want to go deep, deep, deep into, why are you here? Why are you getting personal training? And, I want to be fit. No.
You would be like my favorite personal trainer. I'd be like, Jessica, yes, please. Because when I'm like in the gym and someone's like, oh, do this. And I'm like, that's not an alignment. That's not in there. So you have to find this balance. But what I love about what you're saying is, we talk about this a lot, breadcrumbs, right? And we'll talk about the quitting and failing and the self-loathing and shame and all of that comes up with that. But okay, so you're like following the breadcrumbs. You're like, okay, I want deeper. I want more. So then nutrition, personal training, and then what happened after that?
So during the course of the nutrition and personal training, a friend and I started a women's meetup group because we were chatting at the gym. I'm like, Heather used to run, meetups, And we always used to attend, and we just loved getting out. We loved meeting women. We loved hearing stories and just that connection, and always leaving, when you talk about vibrations and that, like we'd always leave super high vibe, and we missed it. So we're like, I touched base with you. I'm like, are you still doing these? And you had said that you weren't. I'm like, you know what? I am like the person that says, if I want something, I need to create it. Like, sitting there going, I wish someone would create a meetup. Well, you're someone, so freaking create it then. So we did. So over that course of, it was 2017, we started this meetup, and we were running them every single month. And the thought was like, we ran them because we wanted to attend them. We loved them. We would serve apps. We had tickets so that people could commit versus doing them for free. And we found fun venues. We had amazing speakers. And I always said all of last year, this is the most fun, easy thing I do all month. It fills my cup like nothing else. I left feeling high vibe. I was inspired. I was connecting. I was hearing these stories of these women and their struggles, their perseverances. Like everyday women, these my neighbors, friends of friends, like people I knew, and their stories, inspired me. Like they hit just so deep. And when people share a vulnerable story like that, it connects you almost instantly, because you see yourself in them. They heal when they're sharing their story, and you go, my favorite part is when people go, oh my God, I think these thoughts, I feel these things, and they don't feel alone. And so like, you can hear me, right? But it is so, I wish there was the perfect word. I can never articulate it the way I feel it, but it's just this beautiful unfolding and coming together of women. And so that's what I was doing every month in addition to everything else. But I never thought of it of anything than just this one little thing that I do.
And it was so easy for you. You were trying to focus on, but that's too easy, right? Like that's too easy. I can't. And for me, it was interesting because I started meetups, like in a meetup, I mean, anyone can start a meetup. You can go to just like, hey, ladies, let's get together. Let's have coffee or tea or talk about whatever. We are women. We thrive in community. Like if you go back in history, this is what we do. And now culturally, we're very isolated. And the whole point of why I started a meetup was because I needed it. I felt isolated as an entrepreneur, like locally in our community. There's a lot of open-minded, like-minded, conscious women, but it's not like the city we live in is not a whole culture like that. Like there's not even a lot of coffee shops that you can go to like that. It's starting. So I started it, and I think the first one was like 20 people, and then more and more and more. And then my business was just growing, and I'm like, I'm feeling this, but then the energy I had to put into that, I'm like, it's just, I was lit up when I was there, but all of the effort to get there, I'm just like, no, not anymore. So I let it go. And it's a perfect example of like, it brings me so much joy because I was also transitioning into this different type of leadership, right? Like where I'm now raising leaders, like, and leaders are raising leaders. And you're like, Heather, like, if it weren't for you, this wouldn't have been created. And like the ripple effect and watching other people. And now I just stand back and go, oh my God, like the power of, it brings me back to like the power of our desire. And if we have a desire to do something, how that can impact, like I'm getting goosebumps, how that can impact somebody else to go after their desire and then go after their desire. And, I don't know if, I'm sure she'll be listening to this episode, but I don't know if you knew this. There was a woman at the event last night, and we know each other, and we met like 9 years ago at a campsite. And we had another mutual friend, and me and the mutual friend, we were camping. And then this family was at the campsite right next to us, and we weren't local. And she's like, yeah, we live in Windsor. We're like, we live in Windsor. And then we kind of just became friends on Facebook and like connection. And then, through our triumphs, like just, I'd be like, here's a book. I'd send it to her in the mail, connection. And then it comes back full circle. And it's like-minded people will find each other. And there's just magic in women in community.
Yes.
But I just want to emphasize, one, you kept going and you're like, what's this? What's this? What's this? And kind of going back to what you were talking about with your own personal past, where you're like, I wouldn't change anything. I'm not going to change my nutrition coaching or my personal or my personal training or the MLM I was in, because all of that was breadcrumbs to get me to where I needed to be.
Yes.
I just want to emphasize for a second, I'm like, you should focus on this. And you're like, oh, it's too easy. It's too easy. I can't do that. And let's just talk about that for a second, because I'm a huge advocate of sustainability and ease. Yes. And people are like, that's way too easy. I need to overcomplicate it over here. And we all need to learn our own lessons. Like I do things all the time when people are like, don't do that. I'm like, nope, I need to learn this lesson for myself. So Can you just talk a little bit about that? Like alignment, ease?
It's so funny because I think we chatted before the call and I'm like, I'm like, alignment is bullshit. And you're just sitting here telling me this thing about alignment that I'm never going to attain. So that I work with you, not you directly, understand, like people. And so I thought, oh yeah, I'm in alignment. Oh, I thought I was in alignment because with the nutrition and with the personal training, because I liked it. I liked helping people. I've been around fitness and nutrition my whole life. And I'm like, oh, this must be it. But when I knew I was in alignment when I would do the meetups and everything. It was easy, but it was like the universe always, always, always worked in my favor. I didn't have a speaker 1 month. And I'm like, surrender, don't tie to the outcome and let go of my expectations. And the next day, someone would come across my Facebook page, someone's name would get brought up in conversation. I'd be like, oh my God, that would be a perfect speaker. And then I'd message them and they're like, yeah, I would love to speak. I'm available that night. It's like crap like that. I say crap, beautiful things like that constantly were happening. And I was ignoring it. It was like, I was just like, oh no, whatever. It's nothing. But every time that was happening, it was just easy. And then I knew it was in alignment because of, I can't stop thinking about it. I don't want to. I was just on vacation last week and I had to force myself to stop working on it because I love it. It's like, and then not obsessive in a negative way, but in a really positive way going, I want to serve these women and I want to help them grow and see how incredible they are and let them share stories and let them witness stories. And I know at that point, there's nothing else I've ever felt that way about ever. Because before I'd be a week on vacation and I would feel guilty. I would feel like I have to do this. I feel like I should be working on my business or I need to put out content versus this feeling of I'm like, I want to put out content. Oh my God, this would be so good. And I can't wait to talk about this. And I can't wait to reach out to this person. I can't wait to talk to this person about it. And it's just, I never thought I was ever going to be in this place. I felt like the word hustle makes me nauseous now because I'm like, that's not hustle for me. Am I working? Yeah.
But that's what I love. So I was just going to ask you about that. How people are like hustle, hustle, hustle. And I'm right there with you where I'm like, oh, what makes me salivate? My husband is like, I don't know what you do with these women, but you just your face lights up after you're done coaching them. And then I just have to listen to him. Like, why am I getting this calling now and not this one that I had a year ago? Why am I wanting to help women, where a year or two ago, I would never talk about money. I know you and I have talked about that a lot. And I'm like, let's talk about money. And people are like, I don't want to go there. And I'm like, I fucking love this shit. And it's not really money. It's abundance and energy. So yeah, you're leading, you're being called, but when it's hard, it feels like hustle, right? Like I don't resonate with that term either, but there's boundaries. Like you can do something that feels light and easy, and then you're like hanging out by the pool with your kids. And yes, there are moments when you just got to get shit done and push through a little bit, but that doesn't need to be your life 40, 50 hours a week. You're like, okay, I need to like do 5 hours of things I don't want to do, but then I get to do 35 hours or 10 hours or 2 hours of whatever. And yeah, I mean, oh gosh, there was a saying somewhere, I don't know, totally don't do well with like actual quotes and people, but how much time we spend in our life, like if you do work, regardless, if you don't work, you actually do work. I dislike this. I don't work, I do work. I'm like, you're either raising a family or you're taking care of somebody or you're cooking and cleaning. Like everybody works of sorts. They have a craft. And if you are not loving your craft, your work, that's like 70% of your life. Like so much of our day and our life is our work. So it's going to spill over to your relationships, to every other aspect of your being.
Well, and I want to talk on that just really briefly too, because I do work full time. Like I said, I have a full-time corporate job. And I think that was a part of my push for something else in the very beginning, because I've been with this company for so long, and I was starting to feel stagnant, like I was spinning my wheels. It wasn't feeding my soul. It was very, and it's just the job, and it's just me and this being this round peg in this square hole. And it was affecting, I was depressed. And, I love and hate the fact that I am the nucleus of my family and everything I do affects them, like no pressure or anything, but it was affecting my family because of how I was showing up. And when I started at least having a second outlet, so I'm not prepared financially to quit my job at this point. And that's okay. And, I'm coming to terms with that and money. And we could probably do another podcast, just you and me talking about money. But I was like, even today, I'm close to being financially prepared, but not yet. And that's okay. But I needed an outlet to feed my soul. And it turns out it took me 3 years to really refine my outlet. But now that I've got it, the transition financially will be greater because it's easier. So like I could have taken my LLM and I could have worked it and pushed and hustled and forced that, just like I was forcing myself into my job, just like I'd be forcing myself into that MLM, which is a great company. I have nothing bad to say about them. It's just wasn't right for me versus what I'm doing now and figuring and putting that time into. And I'll say this too, as a little it's on topic. It's all the time I've spent on myself. If there's anything that is really put that path in motion, hasn't been getting my coaching certification, has not been getting my personal training certification, has not been talking to vendors or speakers. It's been listening to those speakers. It's been reading books. It's been getting a coach. It's been doing the work on myself that's really positioned me to be in this space right now, if that makes sense too. Did I even answer your questions? I feel like I was off on a tangent.
No, I love these conversations. And I feel like the work's never done. You don't just get one coach and done. I mean, it's like, I always just tell people, like, what do you feel called to do? Do you want to get a certification of something? Because yes, a lot of people get them because they're insecure and they're like, I'm not enough. That's okay. But like, I always tell myself, I don't know, I'm just I want to learn more. I want to learn more. And I'm sure I will go through this phase where I'm like, I want to get another certification, not because I need to, but just because I like to learn. And the point is, like you were saying, it was doing the work on yourself, that it's not a once and done, right? I think we're in this epidemic too. I mean, if you see this from the traditional standpoint in education, I even have friends, like I'm in my early 30s, who who are still in school or have multiple degrees and nothing to show for it. And at the core of it, what's really happening is, what is my purpose? Right? Oh, if I just go get more education, then I'm going to figure that out. Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, you're a mother, I'm a mother, and your children aren't there yet. But once they're in school and you're like, figure it out, oh, you're wasting all this money, da, da, da. But no, we're going to be the moms that are like, heck, I'll go. I'm like, heck, I don't want you to go to school right away. Let's go travel the world, or I'll hire you a life coach first. I'm like, I'll take your freaking post-secondary education money and give you a life coach so you can figure out your life purpose and what's in alignment with you. And if you want to become a circus freak and that lights you up, then go do that. I don't care if you become a doctor, a lawyer, whatever. And it's interesting because I'm watching my children now going, what are they passionate about? Right? Like my oldest loves photography, and I watch him with this push-pull of it, the exact same thing that I do with my creativity. Because I'm like, I'm not a creative person. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, well, Heather, maybe your modality isn't paint, but it's photography, and I just need to allow that more, or it's coaching or writing or podcasting or whatever. And just watching that with him. And then if he ends up in this other side of his brain and resistance and all of this, I'm like, buddy, you're not in alignment with your soul, your purpose, who you are. So it's just watching them. And I was curious if you wanted to share. I definitely want to talk about quitting.
Yes.
But I'm curious if you want to share the story about your daughter. Are you open to that?
Yeah, I will. She is incredible. I'll probably cry. You just wanted to make me cry. Every time we talk, you make me cry.
Yes, awesome. But the reason why I want you to share the story is, one, obviously it's very near and dear to your heart. But two, I want people to know that, will this make a difference? Will working on myself make a difference? So
yes.
Story.
Yes.
And
I'm
cry
crying already.
Cry.
So my daughter she's totally an empath. She's very sensitive. She loves drama, which is, to your point too. I had said to them when they were younger, you're going to university. I don't give a shit what you say. That's what you're doing. And even over the past 3 years, I've really shifted to say, what do you love to do? What are you passionate about? What will sustain you and bring you joy? And that's what I want you to pursue. Go backpack in Europe for a year, please. Please do all those things. So I'm so on board with that. It's shifted just in the past 3 years, without a question. So she's lives in a bigger body, and she always has, even from when she was small. She's funny and talented and creative, and she's got all these wonderful qualities. And I've really worked, even since we're young, we're very body positive at my house, and we don't use certain words, or we do use certain words. We're very intentional. But, she's almost 17. So as a teenager, it was very, especially, between 12 to 15 and 12 to 16, she wouldn't swim publicly. She would only want to swim at our house, or my family owns property where we have a lake in the middle of 25 acres. It's completely remote. So she would swim there, and she loves swimming. She's always loved to swim. So over the past, I would say, and I'm going to do a bit of a credit for Diane Bondi in the fall. I occasionally bring her to my meetup events, which are called Tribe. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. And so she would come, occasionally with me to Tribe. She loved talking to women and listening to the stories. And a local yoga instructor, Diane Bondi, who's very body positive, spoke. And Amelia started to follow her on social media. And I started following a lot more body positive posts as well. And my Instagram is very full of them. So my daughter and I would talk about it, oh, who are you following? And, oh my God, did you see that post? And just really talking about being more positive with what we have, instead of wishing we had something else. So, and I've just been noticing a change in her, just more accepting. I mean, we all have our moments, but overall, significant increases. swimming in the backyard a little bit more this summer, but still not swimming in public. And then the other day she says to me, hey, would it be okay if I had a boy come over? Because 16, almost 17-year-old girls want to talk to boys. That's normal behavior. And she goes, yeah, and I think we're going to go swimming. And the reaction, and my reaction wasn't shock that she shouldn't want to go swimming. My reaction was like this overwhelming sense of joy for her. And the fact that at 16 and a half, it was within a bigger body going, yes, I'm comfortable with my body. And that if he's going to come over and swim in a swimsuit, he's going to like me or he's not going to like me. And I'll be okay either way. And I was so proud of her, I just didn't want her to think that I thought anything of it. It was just really hard because I'm like, why shouldn't she do that? She should. But I think about women my age who won't even put themselves in a swimsuit or in a two-piece, who, for all intents and purposes, in my opinion, there's no damn reason why they shouldn't. They're fabulous. So it just came full circle for me. And I don't want to take credit for this, but I know so much of it has to do with the work I do on myself publicly and my family too, because we talk about stuff like this all of the time. I'm exposing her to things that she can consume on social media that's going to feed her in a positive way, that's going to be good for her, instead of looking at, there's so many other garbage, quite frankly, she could be consuming, and I'm sure she does to a certain extent. But the fact that we can have these open and honest conversations with each other is she's just incredible. She teaches me every single day, but all three of them do. And they're at very different ages that I'm learning something different from all of them. But because she's my oldest and I had her young, not that young enough. And it's a constant, I'm in constant gratitude of my teenage children. Yeah.
Even just hearing you talk about them with a state of gratitude and I love mothering them, I love being in relationship with them. That's a challenge for a lot of people, right? Mm-hmm. Because I always say parenting is a relationship. And when I started this work, I was very resistant to saying some of the things that I talk about now are my beliefs, because I looked out there and everything was use this strategy for discipline, use this strategy for this. And I realized it's just a relationship. And, if I replaced child with husband or child with neighbor, would I treat my neighbor the way that I was treating my child? And it's a relationship. And so, yes, we don't want to take credit. Yes, we don't want to do, oh yes, this is a direct correlation, because everybody wants to know, if I meditate with my child every single night, will they come back to this when they need it as an adult? And I'm like, there are no guarantees in life. There are no guarantees that if I eat healthy and meditate and journal and go to my natural path and do everything, that my body is going to stay in optimal, healthy condition forever. There's no guarantees. This is why there's no cures for anything, because there's wellness, there's lifestyle, there's all of that. And, I'm a huge advocate of I talk about my little sustainable ambition theory, and I did this in my little TEDx video of, you have your frickimadoodles, what's it called? Survival mode, and then momentum, and then thrival state. And if you're just constantly trying to become a better version of you, and then you're having a bad week or a month or a year, yeah, you get knocked down a few ladders, but you're not frickin' in crisis mode. Mm-hmm. And our children are watching us always. And you can't show up and go, okay, well, I'm going to bring her here and I'm going to do this and I'm going to talk about this because I'm drilling this in her and she better have this type of confidence in her body. No, it's reflect it back on you and just go, I hope and I pray that what I do is the best. But when we take off that expectation of like who our children need to become and we just cultivate that energy or ecosystem, holy cow.
Completely. And I think, and I've shared this with you in the past, like I never wanted to have, like I was never drawn to being a parent. I know I was friends with people who are like, oh, I can't wait to have kids. And I was like, ugh, why? Why are you excited for that? I ended up with 3 of them. But, you know, I've really had a hard time relating, like labels, fine, especially motherhood has always like hit me because I look at other people and I'm like, oh, like they're such a great mom. Like they miss their kids when they're away from them. And not that I don't, but it takes me a lot longer.
That conversation with you, you're like, oh, you'll be fine. I'm like, I know, it's just painful. And I don't even think it was him I missed. I think it was like something bigger behind that, right?
Yeah. And that's so funny because I'm like, I don't feel that way. That's just not who I am. And instead of beating myself up, and I think you really gave me the permission the one time and you're like, you're co-creating a life with them. Like, don't look at it as parenting or mothering. It's like you're existing together because I am still learning. Like, and I think that's one thing we think once you're a mother, you need to like society, or you put these expectations on yourself that you think you need to have all of the answers. My kids are clear. I don't. They're not mistaken. They think I have quite a few, but not all of them. And I'd never make it out that I do. But I love the idea of co-creating with my children. It feels so much more in alignment. Again, I'll use that word, but with how I want to be as a parent.
Yeah. You're using that word a lot now, Jessica.
I am. It's weird.
You didn't like it before.
I did, right?
Yeah, I hated being a mother. I was very angry and resentful that, 18, I wanted to get drunk and do a lot of awesome things like my friends were doing, like literally 3 weeks before high school going, hey, right? So imagine you in a year becoming a grandma, because that's how old I was, FYI. You're like, please don't. But all
I go there.
Going off, traveling, doing whatever, and coming back full circle going, I crave those things now. And I can do them with my kids because my child is just another person that I have to have a relationship with. And then realizing, oh my gosh, everyone is struggling in this world with this parenting thing. Not everyone, but in their own way. So it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you were, male, female, child, abilities, disabilities. Oh my gosh. It's like, let's just stop judging each other and all realize that behind closed doors, we have days where we're like, why did I do this?
Oh yeah. Without question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, I think that's a great place to jump into before we wrap up, about quitting.
Mm-hmm.
And you never quitting. I mean, parenthood is like that in general. You want to give up and then you're like, I can't. Sometimes you just do, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. And then you come back to it. It's like this innate thing where you're like, oh, I can't. So let's talk about quitting.
Yeah. Like I really had a mindset, and so many of I do run a small group coaching program too. And a lot of my clients will talk to me about, I never follow through with anything and I quit everything and I feel like a quitter. That's definitely a common theme. And I feel like it's this perfectionistic quality that women have. And like, I have to be perfect or nothing. That's it. I'm all or nothing. I'm going to build it up. If it doesn't work, I'm just going to burn that shit down. And it's like, and I was caught up in that too for the longest time. Like I would start things and not finish them, or I would quit. And I think that, again, it's a lot of the work that I was doing myself, instead of saying I'm quitting, I kept coming back and going like, I have to be the best parent. And I think parenthood was it was definitely the catalyst for this mindset for me. Because I couldn't quit wanting to be a better parent. I couldn't quit knowing that my daughters especially look at me and go, what is possible for womanhood? What is possible? And all I could think was that kids don't listen when you talk to them. Like they just see what you do. And I was never that parent, like do as I say, not as I do, because I could never be that person. I'm like, cause it's just not, I couldn't, that felt so disjointed for my personality. So I have to do, for fuck's sakes, now I have to do this and I have to do what I say I'm going to do. And I have to do all this crap because I want them to do it. And not that it's crap, but in the moment, those things you're thinking of, it's like, but I don't want to. But then I'll constantly go back to them and like, what would I want them to do? So like, and it just kept making me push. And there's moments, and I think of personal development like The Matrix. And if you know that movie, he's like, do you want to take the blue pill or the red pill? And, the one pill's like, you can just go back to pretending like things are the way that they used to be. And you can be numb to it. Or you can take the other pill and live in this matrix where you're just going to be doing personal developments. Or I think Glennon Doyle calls them like another fucking growth opportunity. So I was like, it's another AFGO or whatever.
AFGO. Oh my God.
So it's this back and forth. So then I'd be like, I'm quitting for a while. And then I'm like, okay, I got to get back on that horse. So I always kept, I would think really disempowering thoughts. Like I quit. I never finish anything. I suck. And not too long ago, maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, I'm like, I flipped that thought on its head and I have not looked back. And I flipped it and I said to myself, okay, you quit. Fine. You fail. Fine. But you don't ever stop trying. And I looked at that as my strength, and not in the weakness of quitting or giving up or failure. I looked at my strength of going, I refuse to give up. Like I will stand on a soapbox. I refuse to give up. And if it's figuring out what I want, well, I've been doing that for an awful long time and I'm still figuring it out. And I learned to like, I'm probably never like, I'm there, but I'm always going to be learning. I'm always going to be growing. So even though I'm like this, I'm exactly where I need to be right now. I am. But I also feel like in 5 years, it's going to be an evolution of where I'm at today as well. And then in 5 years from now, but I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be because I won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. I wish I could sing something cheesy, but I can't think of anything.
The joys of being a seeker. It's like everything, for the longest time I had the story of why can't you just be normal, Heather? Go get a job. And it's like, and now I'm like, I feel like if I did that, I would be letting way too many people down. I feel this responsibility now. And it's an interesting, it's like as a leader, you just keep growing and evolving. And then now I'm like, I can't turn back. Like I am doing a disservice to my life purpose if I don't write this fucking book. I say fucking book, but I love it. It's coming. It's out of me. So, oh God. Yeah. It's there. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So I'm like, God, we could talk forever.
I know.
I got another appointment and oh my gosh, you'll be back. We'll talk about something else. But let's talk about what you're up to. So you're working on something. You've created Tribe, which is your local women's meetup. You've had so many people. You're like, this is easy. This is so easy for me. And I even know in our communities, people saying, I want community. I want community. I'm like, go talk to Jessica. She'll help you. I'm like, just do this and this. And they're like, I can't figure it out. I'm like, this is so easy, right? But Jessica is your go-to person for that. And and you have something coming up to help other people, other women who want to be able to create community.
Absolutely. I'm really excited about it. I've been, like I said, like doing our local community for the past year and a half and people reaching out going, I want this. And so I'm like, I've been denying them or just like helping out here and there. So I've decided that I want to grow community of women who want to grow community of women. Like, I love that, the thought of that. It makes me really excited. So it's a version of Tribe, but I'm still toying with the name. I like Amplify, like just growing it. And so it's a 4-month program that I'm starting. And for women who they know they want more in their life, and they know they want a business, but they're trying to figure out what their business is. And they know that the way to figure out what their business is taking action. They know how to find out what their business is to create community and surround themselves with like-minded women, because when you have a support system of like-minded women, you can truly do anything. And Tribe does that. It's the catalyst to really launch them into what they want to be doing. So I'm working with one client now, and I'm starting to put some more information out there for people who want to work with me to create Tribe in their own town, and to really start feeling alignment.
You know what I like about it is it's not a franchise. They can call it whatever they want. They can create community on their own terms. They can do whatever they want with it. So, because a lot of programs out there are like, you got to do it my way. This is how it's like, no, take what works and then run with the rest. Cool. So, well, whatever you were going to say, and then we're going to wrap it up, but where can people find more, connect with you to get more information on this, the quickest and easiest way for them?
For sure. So I was just going to say, it's all that support with the templates and the accountability too, because I find it's like people will do one and then just to keep that momentum going. So that's what it's for 4 months. But they can connect with me. I'm mostly on Facebook. So Jessica Burrell on Facebook. It's Tribe Meetups on Facebook, or you can check out my website. I'm just getting everything up there this weekend, actually. So it's jessicaburrell.com or Tribe Meetups at Gmail, I guess, is another way to connect. So sounds like I've got a lot of ways.
So Tribe Meetups at gmail.com.
Yes.
Perfect. Exactly. And then they can just email you directly.
Absolutely.
Say, I heard you on Heather's podcast. I want more information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jessica, for being here.
Thanks, Heather, for inviting me. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Yay.